You are now live.
This is Senate Appropriations, and we are taking up the transportation bill. It's kind of unusual. This year, we actually have incorporated in anticipation the changes in the T-bill and reflected in the budget. Now we need to align some of the changes that we did with ARPA funding and get the T-bill aligned with them. So I'm going to, on behalf of transportation, because I'm your transportation person, we talked about it this morning, and the amendments will be offered by the Senate Appropriations Committee because we have possession of the bill. And basically what we're doing in these amendments are aligning the T-bill with the budget that we hopefully by the end of the day will have passed. So Anthea is here and Chris Roop is here to walk us through what those amendments are, or the instances of amendment, and then we will move the bill favorably with our amendments, and then it can go to the floor for action and go on the notice calendar for Tuesday. So Anthea, I don't know if you want to put up those amendments.
So while I'm doing that, for the record, Anthea Dexter-Cooper from the Office of Legislative Counsel, and your chair explained exactly what these amendments are proposing to do, which is to align the recent addition of ARPA funding that goes to the Agency of Transportation with the adopted transportation program that's done through the T-bill. So the first instance of amendment is in this overall summary section of the T-bill to address the increase from $750,000 for a program called Mileage Smart to $1,250,000 for a program for that same program. And that's because of the additional $500,000 in ARPA funding that's going to Mileage Smart. And that is under your big bill, section G600A7. So that's your first instance of amendment. Your second instance of amendment is simply giving me the opportunity to correct a swapping of digits, something that says 1034 as an identification of a project should say 0134. That's line 14. The third instance of amendment is adding 3 new sections to the transportation program, again, to reflect projects that are authorized for funding because of the appropriation of ARPA funding. The first one is the $24.5 million for the DMV IT system replacement. That's on line 21 of page 1. And the full authorization is going to operating expenses. That's on page 2, line 6 and 7. And then you'll see on line 10 that the source of that is federal, $24.5 million. And that comes from the big bill section G501A1. And there is carry forward language for that appropriation if the Secretary of Administration approves it. Your second ARPA change is for phosphorus control planning. This is some of the clean water language that was included in the big bill. This comes from big bill section G700A1C, and it's $3 million for statewide phosphorus control planning. And that will be used for PE, that's the design and engineering, at $2.25 million, $150,000 for right-of-way, and then $600,000 for construction. You'll see on line 11 that you've got your source of funds being federal. That'll link with the big bill ARPA language. And in subsection C, again, carry forward language with the approval of the Secretary of Administration. Your last clean water project would be added in section 4C. This is an additional $500,000 for the Agency of Transportation to use for the Municipal Mitigation Assistance Program. That's grants for stormwater projects. Again, that comes from that same clean water section in the big bill, G700A1C, and that'll round out the $3.5 million in that one section. There is no carry forward language for this one. And then your final piece is amending, I just have it as a strikeout of all of section 13, but really the only change is the addition of the $500,000 in one-time ARPA money. And that will just be for fiscal year 2022. The T-bill and the big bill both allow this $750,000 to be used upon passage, and that's because there's a fear that the program will be fully depleted of funding before the fiscal year starts. But this $500,000 consistent with the big bill is just for fiscal year 2022. And that's your amendment. It's pretty short.
Okay, so thank you, Anthea. Yes, Alice, you have a question.
With regard to the mileage smart, I thought that the additional 500,000 was for if they didn't have enough money to finish the projects by July 1, 2021.
No.
No.
No, we
Ran out of
we
money.
had actually, well, Rich can add that we moved it from 600 that was in the House to 750. There has been, it was a slow take up, but then in the last couple months, the expenditure rate has changed substantially. There was concern that the program might run out of money before the end of the fiscal year. So that's why we wanted to, when we were in transportation, the 750 was to be effective upon passage so that it would fund next fiscal year and any need that might emerge before the end of this fiscal year. Then Natural Resources recommended more of the weatherization transportation split and moved 500,000 more to Mileage Smart to support the incentives under that program. So it's all, it collectively the 750 and the 500,000 gets you to the 1.25.
Yeah, if
Right.
what we
Did I read this wrong? Then I thought the 500,000 was if the funds were depleted prior to 2021, July 1, 2021. That's what
No, I think that Anthea said the 500,000 was in 2022. The other portion was 21 and on.
Correct. And I can pull up the big bill language just to make sure that that doesn't have any sort of contingency language in it.
and what basically behind that, what we thought in Natural Resources is if we're going to have the counselors that we approved, the $1.5 million in counselors, and they're sitting there in the community action agencies, counseling people around their energy uses. And a piece of that would come up Mileage Smart, and Mileage Smart is presently only in 2 community action agencies really fully working. This will spread Mileage Smart to all 5. We thought it needed more money to be able to.
What is Mileage Smart, Rich?
if you look, before Bobby, explain that to Bobby, if you look on page 112 of the big bill, it says if prior authorizations for the incentive program for new PEVs and Mileage Smart are fully depleted prior to July 1, 2021, then the agency may use a portion of the $6,925,000 appropriated in this section in fiscal 21 to ensure that the programs are not halted due to lack of available funding in fiscal year 2021.
So that's the $750,000 in transportation fund monies. So if you look in the amendment, you'll see that for that first 750,000 chunk of money, it says fiscal year 21 or fiscal year 2022. And then for this additional 500,000 in ARPA money, that's only fiscal year 2022. And I have confirmed in your language in G600, it says that there's $31 million in fiscal year 2022 as appropriated from ARPA.
Yeah, I've got it right here. I've got it right here.
Yep.
And
then it's
on
in
number
70.
7, and it just says to support the Mileage Smart program established in 2019 acts and resolves. So that's what's getting confusing is there are 2 streams of money. The 750 that was in the T-bill as that came out of Senate Transportation. And as Rich said, Natural Resources was concerned the 750 would not be sufficient because of the additional of staff out working with families to help them with their energy costs, including transportation. So Natural Resources actually modified and took 500,000 that would have gone to weatherization and said, we want to put more money into Mileage Smart in 2022 because we think we're going to influence the take-up rate with this additional staff. So the language you're citing is around the 750.
Senator Starr, would you like a very short explanation of what Mileage Smart is?
Yeah, because I'd like to do miles. Not, I don't know if I'd want to do Mileage Smart or Miles Smart. No, if you could do that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, Mileage Smart, and we actually have a nice graph here if you want to know, because there's several transportation. There's incentives for new PVEs. There's the Mileage Smart program, and then there's a Replace Your Ride program. So if you want to get your mind really wrapped around it, there are 3 vehicle incentive programs. Mileage Smart is been established to issue incentives for the purchase of used high miles per gallon or zero emission vehicles. And there's an eligibility requirement, 80% of or below area median income, and it's 25% of the purchase price up to $5,000. It's designed to help lower income Vermonters with incentives to get into cars that are much more efficient, either zero emission or they just have a high, if they 40 or 45 miles per gallon, for example. So that's what Mileage Smart does. And its purpose is recognizing low-income Vermonters oftentimes they aren't buying new cars. They're buying used cars.
That's an awful low, their income would have to be awful low though to qualify, wouldn't it? I mean, 80%.
I can tell you right now off my handy little chart that I managed to put my hands on, that 80% of median income for a family of 4 in most counties would be $63,600.
I thought that was about the median income, 63,000. So if it's only going to be 80% of that, wouldn't it be? I thought our median income was around 64,000 in Vermont.
Is that family of 3 or 4? What did you say?
Family of 4, according
Okay.
to the chart,
Yep.
living in Essex or Orleans or Caledonia or Lamoille would have to be at or below 63,600 household income to qualify.
We'd have a few and that'd be good.
Well, we would, and that's the same standard income standard that came through with the slug of money that we accepted in December for rental assistance that comes and utility assistance that came with the 80% AMI. So this is using that same standard. Thank you for this handy dandy chart. I'm amazed at this heap of paper around me that I could put my hands on it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So the other questions?
So we got to get our income down low. No.
Yeah, Bobby. Well, I was asked by Stuart Ledbetter what our legislative salary was, and I couldn't answer the question. I said I obviously didn't do the job for the money, and I found out it's $733 a week, I guess.
I don't know. I haven't even looked and haven't asked.
And that does not include the expense money if you claim that.
No, that's right. That's just the salary.
Yeah.
So committee, other questions of Anthea or Chris?
Nope.
No, I'll move that amendment.
Thank you very much.
So what we have is a motion. Do you want to move the amendment first and then we'll move the bill favorably as amended, or do you want to do it all at once?
I'll move the bill favorably as amended.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, lots of seconds. Senator
They're all
Starr.
trying to get Mileage Smart.
Well,
Well,
as
now they
much
know what
money
the
as,
eligibility is.
as much money as Bobby's got, he'll buy an electric vehicle, and we've given tax credits up to whatever for those.
Well, he'll get, but you have to have a tax liability to have a tax credit mean anything to you, so.
Oh, you mean Bobby has written everything off?
Well, if he's got a good accountant. So I'm going to suggest, unless there are further
Sneaky.
comments about the bill, that we will call the roll.
Senator Ballant. Senator
Oh,
Baruch. What was that, Senator Sears?
Well, you took me by surprise. I wasn't quite ready. Usually it takes a few minutes for the clerk. With the old clerk, it took,
Yeah.
hours to get the records.
Well, this one doesn't write anything because everybody does it for him.
The second the chair orders, I snap into
And the
action.
one before him used to leave the room.
Excuse
I
me,
know
we're
that.
we're in the middle of a vote, Senator Starr.
The
Yes, I'm
vote.
going to start over, please. If you would, Senator Baruch.
Senator Ballant. Senator Baruch, yes. Senator Nitka.
Yes.
Senator Sears.
Yes.
Senator Starr.
Yes.
Senator Westman.
Yes.
And Senator Kitchell.
Yes.
So we are 601 at this
Mhm.
point.
Okay. And we'll hold it for a little while for to see if Becca comes in. Otherwise, we need to move it out this afternoon so that we can get it on the notice calendar. Thank you very much, Anthea and Chris. You can leave it up to me. I'll make up something as I go along.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay. So we have another bill. It came out of education, and it's the assessment of school buildings. Do we have the reporter from education?
I do not.
And this is the bill. We have an amendment from, well, it was on education has supported it. It's the one that would have provision to set up the high efficiency wood systems language. The committee had recommended 7 million in ARPA, and we had some discussion about not appropriating money at this point, but to let the assessment of the school buildings go forward and identify where those heat systems either need to be like the one we have in Danville isn't operational, where they could be made operational again, or made more efficient, or might be amenable to replacement. So we have that bill.
You want me to text Brian?
And if Brian's the reporter, and then we have the amendment from the committee from Senator Perchlik sent.
What's the number on this one?
What's the bill number?
426.
Thank you.
Is it, I can find it under bills, but is the amendment somewhere?
The
Yeah.
amendment was attached to what Chrissy sent out at 12:59 today.
Okay, one second.
And the number of the bill was
426.
426, okay. And this was the one that the Education Committee was going to draft for our consideration, but we would, because it relates to the appropriations section, what we would do is strike the appropriations section and replace the money at this time with this language, which seems to be,
It's a few pages long,
Wait
but it's section 11 is,
a minute. Technical amendment.
Yeah.
What time did this come?
1 o'clock.
12:59.
Oh, handouts. Okay, here they are.
This still says that Efficiency Vermont can use $150,000. Should it?
That's not enough to get you in the door hardly.
Well, I thought we were,
No,
pulling-
this is I think it means once a program is established, that's what they could use.
Yeah,
We need to be clear on that, but I think that's what it was intended to.
right, but if we pulled out the money, then should we be referring to the money?
Well, I think what, we're, well, I don't know, but we can look at it.
Senator Westman,
Yes,
I sent Senator Campion, is it Campion or Callamore that you need to invite?
I text Brian, the Campion, the chair of the committee, so
I sent him the link in case he's able to join us, and I CC'd you.
yeah, I see that.
Okay,
I tried to call him. He must think he's busy in education or something.
I sent an email as well.
I wish he was down the hall. I'd grab him.
I
by
don't,
the
I
ear.
don't really think that matters, Phil, at this point,
Okay.
because we aren't appropriating anything to the program. It's just if there was anything, they could use 150.
Right.
Stephanie, would you please look at that again?
I did look at that, and that is true, because there is nothing appropriated yet to the program.
Yeah, I get that. I was just thinking,
It's a little odd to have it in here just because it's a hard amount as opposed to authorized up to,
Yeah.
X percent capped
I
at
mean,
150 or something.
I'm fine with it if others are.
Well, we could, since our amendment, we could, I don't know what that would be as a percentage.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be either. I think any program contemplates, a significant, because they had $6 million assigned initially in the committee. But we ended up much higher than that on the HVAC program, and 150 is, I believe, the same amount that we did with the now, I think it's $16 or $18 million total in the HVAC program.
It seems to me it's anticipating the creation of the program, and once it's created, or not, this is creating it, but
Yeah.
one out of the appropriation in the future, which would be in
Yeah.
budget adjustment we talked about, then it would allow
It-
150 to go.
Yes,
So I don't think it's the way it's written doesn't obligate anything at this point because there's no appropriation.
that's correct. And you're likely to review, if you're back in budget adjustment, finding that you do have dollars that you want to appropriate for this program.
Yeah.
You may be revisiting this.
Whose section of the budget is this?
Is
It's
that
probably
education?
It's education,
Becca.
because it's.
Becca
Becca.
section.
Campion just sent me back a note and said he didn't know what it was.
The other question, I'm going to bring it up. And one of the questions that we had relative to the budget was what we had money in there for PCB testing. Radon testing is free. There's not a charge, I guess, from the health department. Is there language in this bill? I guess we should go through we can ask whoever the presenter is, that as these assessments are done, whether a radon test is part of that assessment.
So
I
can I,
just did a search on the amendment. That's not in the amendment. That's true. But in the
No,
underlying
it
bill,
would be in the underlying bill.
can I just speak to that?
Yes, you may.
The PCB testing, I had people contacting me saying, why isn't there money for remediation in? Because, and I said, there's $10 million being put in the environmental contingency fund. And 5 million is going to be used for the testing. That leaves 5 million potentially for things like remediation. And they said, well, why don't you just earmark it for that? And I said at this point in the process, it would probably be too late to try to do that. But bound up in this is the idea that when you test in a school, it's a public process. If it's found to be, that they have radon problems or that they have PCB problems, that information goes out to the parents. And at that point, if you're not providing money to remediate, we're creating all kinds of problems. So I think if we're going to put in radon, we have to put money to remediation. And I don't know how we do that at this point unless we want to tap more ARPA funds.
I'm not sure that we can at this point, but I would suggest that some of the money out of that capital, 113, might be a source. If we have Congress pass an infrastructure bill, it seems
Yep.
like that would be another potential source. And then of course, we've got more years of ARPA funding. Plus, we do have some funding like the PCB, the related startup costs for Burlington High School came out of the education department's, direct appropriation of the
money.
ESSER money. So it seems like at this point, there's more capacity to address it than might have been the case historically. It's just we don't know what it will be. And I know that there's been a reluctance to test for that reason. And that gets us into that kind of moral.
Andy's here to testify now.
I guess the last thing I would just say is if I would not be for enumerating radon as something we're testing for unless we specifically have a funding mechanism, because otherwise I think we're just going to create all sorts of problems for ourselves.
And I'm saying, I don't think at this point we can commit. We know that we have got ARPA money. We know that we've got the ESSER money. We know that we've got capital bill money of 113 that has been reserved, or, it's in the capital bill. And we've got infrastructure money coming down. So our ability out of all those potential sources is much greater today than ever. But this is something the education committee is gonna, I don't know whether they're gonna take a position on it or not, but I don't know how we would appropriate. In January, we could look at that capital, that 113 million, for example, or a lot depends on what remediation needs to be done.
Well, and I don't want to delay the dialogue with Senator Perchlik, but I would just say we've already included PCB testing. That's going to turn up, I would imagine, a number of schools that are going to need significant remediation. So the streams that you're talking about, Jane, I agree. And I was comfortable with that linkage. Okay. But to now
I'm not advocating for it. I'm just, it's come up.
I thought you were saying we should put radon in now.
No, I just said it. I wasn't taking a position on that. I was just raising it as something that had been asked as it related to the money in the budget, which you've already talked about.
Right.
Okay, so Senator Perchlik, welcome. Thank you. We're taking up S426, and we have the amendment that your committee had very kindly offered to draft for us to, as we take out the appropriation at this time and replace it with this language. And so thanks for doing our work. But I suppose if you control the pen, you control what the amendment looks like. So there's, I guess, an advantage to that. So do you want to explain what you're proposing we consider as our amendment as part of removing the appropriation and replacing it with this?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for allowing us to write your, or at least to suggest what the amendment says. So basically the way Councilor Wasserman drafted it is it keeps the language about what the program is, I think almost entirely, but then just at the end says, this will be funded when the legislature returns in the 22 session. So the program is there. The Efficiency Vermont would create it with AOE, the superintendents and other stakeholders. And it even has language in there about how much Efficiency Vermont could spend to administer it if there's any money ever appropriated. But it just talks about that the legislature in 2022 would decide if and how much money would be appropriated.
And the underlying bill, if you want to just give us kind of a snapshot, are you the reporter for the whole bill, Andy?
Yes.
Okay. So as it came over from the House, I know it was to do an assessment of our K through 12 infrastructure. Did your committee make many changes other than this, or what will the bill do?
The goal, and this is something the House Education Committee has been working on for a while. Senator Baruth will remember these discussions from his time on education. They wanted to spend, I think last year was $1 million that they wanted to spend to go to every single school and do basically a capital needs assessment on every school in the state. This year, maybe because of the funding available and maybe the need that they realized, they upped it to $2.5 million that would be needed to really go through every school and give it a complete assessment. The Agency of Education came into our committee and said, now is not the time to do such a detailed assessment. What we should do, because all the schools have their own money, they're going to be doing their own capital projects. So how about you change it to a inventory instead of an assessment and only spend $500,000. But similar to the other bill, still put in there that an assessment is needed. So what we did, basically agreed with Secretary French, of saying this year we will do an inventory, not an assessment, but that we changed the language to say that we should be doing an assessment in the future. And I can't remember the specific language, but basically that's what it says.
And then you've got to negotiate that with the House then, because they're with the assessment and you're with the inventory.
And is either mandatory?
The inventory will be done and the money is appropriated, $500,000 to hire a contractor to go do the inventory for the Agency of Education. The assessment is, so we had taken that out, and then the superintendents and others said, like, okay, we understand why you're taking it out, but it's such an important thing to us. It's so needed. Can we still keep it in there as it's the intent to get the assessment done? So we put that in there, that we would come back to that issue.
And did the agency make their same argument to the House and it was rejected?
I think that it was not the same at the House because of the timing of the ESSER money and when we knew how much that was or how much the schools were going to get. But I'm not 100% sure what they said in the House, but my recollection was that they, because of changes, on the ground with ESSERs and federal money, that AOE's recommendation changed a little bit.
And this is ESSER money that's being used to do this inventory.
Correct.
Okay.
They,
Okay, Bobby?
yeah, I'm wondering, Andy, they ever talk to you about what is involved in this inventory? We got a couple hundred schools, I would presume, and you're talking, in a year, 500,000, that's $10,000 a week. So what's involved? What's involved with this process?
You mean, because it would seem like all you would do is ask the LEAs to send a summary of their buildings and build your inventory, but it must be more than just more than that, I guess, is the heart of Senator Starr's question.
Yes, and I just got noticed, 2 minutes before to come over and talk to you about this. So I don't have the language in front of me and I haven't looked at it for a little bit, but if there is language in there that describes it, it isn't that detailed. So it's, I think basically the scope of work will be bounded by the $500,000 of saying like, it's not a, I don't know if inventory is the right word in my thinking, because inventory is just like counting them up, like here are all the buildings, but it's not quite that. It's also, you know, I guess there's a rough outline of the needs of the schools, like just doing a quick analysis of all the schools within that $500,000 to help AOE and the state realize kind of what the situation is as we try to improve all the schools.
And that, when will we get a report, or when will whoever get a report back? How long is this to last? During the whole year, a half a year, 9 months?
It's this year, so we'll get a report back by the time we come back in January, but I can't remember the exact dates.
Before we come back in January, it'll be completed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
So
the other
that's
concern.
6 months, so that's $20,000 a week we're gonna spend on somebody doing this inventory.
Well, I guess it's more than an inventory, although our poor witness who's been hauled in here on short notice has indicated it would be, it would not necessarily be the in-depth assessment that might happen sequentially, or it might in fact help identify the buildings where a more in-depth assessment is warranted at some point. But this was the recommendation of the Agency of Education.
I asked the questions.
I can't hear you, Bobby. Your
I have to ask
broadband
these
is kind of
questions. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Oh, it's,
You're
we-
unstable.
You're
There's Bob.
unstable, Senator Starr.
Yeah, well, we've known that for years.
It's because of this drink.
You may not be muted, but you're unstable right now. So the amount and moving this way was the recommendation of the agency.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They usually just talk millions. At least they're in the thousands.
So
Although
other questions?
They lowered it from 2.5 million to 500,000.
Other questions of Senator Perchlik? Okay, so what he's envisioning is, as part of this inventory, kind of a more a broader assessment would help identify those school buildings where in fact we know that this is a potential market for our wood in products and high efficiency wood systems. Is it late? It's more than that though, right?
Well, yeah, the assessment would be do everything. They'll do roofs, sewer systems,
No,
water systems.
no. I'm talking about the program. I'm talking about your program.
Oh yeah, that'll be that could include advanced wood heating systems, but it could also include just repairs of heating systems. So
Yeah, okay, because yeah, that's what I understood because as I said, Danville's got back when Senator Luzzi was here, and there was a lot of money to promote the installation of wood chip systems. Danville got that and installed it, but they haven't been operating it for a number of years because I think it needs upgrades, or whoever the manufacturer went out of business a few months later.
Right.
So it's a combination. So okay. Other questions or anything more you want to add?
Yeah, on that, well, just on that point, there's like 14 schools that built those wood heating systems during the Luzzi years, let's call them. And a lot of them wanted to support the Vermont company, which was Chip Tech, which was out of Middlebury, but they went out of business, as you said. So a lot of these schools can't get parts. And so there's schools in Grand Isle and in Danville, other schools that have shut down their wood system. It's still there. They're just basically running off their fossil fuel system until they can, get the system. And we don't want them, at least I don't want them to switch over to the fossil fuel system. And the technology has gotten a lot better since they put them in. So this would help them, give them the technical assistance that they need to put in the right system or just repair the system they have to get them working.
Okay,
But it can also repair fossil fuel systems that are not working, that need to be more
Okay.
efficient.
that's helpful. Other questions of the committee? All right, so we have the amendment, and I think, does someone want to move the bill favorably as amended? So we actually have to strike that amendment. I mean, we have to strike that appropriation. Stephanie, are you there?
I'm here. That's what section 11 is replacing. You're striking section 11 and replacing it with the program in the way the.
Oh, let me go
amendment-
back up. Yeah, okay. I'm looking at my other screen. All right, so can I have a motion? To move-
So move.
All right, Senator Westman with a second from Senator Baruth to move the bill favorably as amended. Okay, then our clerk, and I don't see any further discussion, so our clerk will please call the roll.
I'll call the roll. Senator Ballant,
Yes.
Senator Baruth, yes. Senator Nitka,
You're muted, Alice.
Senator Nitka,
Yes.
Senator Sears,
Yes.
Senator Starr,
Yes.
Senator Westman,
Yes.
Senator Kitchell.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous.
Okay, and the reporter, ordinarily that would be Senator Ballant, but I'm not sure. As the old saying, she's kind of got her hands full and her pants to hold up. So I'm not sure we should ask her to report this. You're laughing?
Yeah, I'm saying, I was just about to say, I need some suspenders even to hold my pants up. So I would welcome assistance on the floor. Oh,
All right,
Senator
so
Baruth, are you
Senator
going to do it?
Baruth? Yes, Senator Baruth will be the reporter then.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And while we have your attention, Senator Ballant, we voted out, we held open the T-bill vote for you to vote on. So
Yes, please.
we will add you. So that is a 7-0.
Oh, I
And-
thought it was 3-4.
Oh, Maz is coming after you.
Must be that New Haven train station. So we will take care of that. You'll send it to Secretary's office and confirm. I'm the reporter of the T-bill, and Senator Baruth will be the reporter of 426.
Mhm.
And the vote on both is 7-0-0. Okay. Any other bills that have been sent our way?
I am not seeing anything.
I think you're going to get 183, which is the consent for sexual violence. We just voted it out today of committee. And
Is that the one that has the forensic nurse?
yes,
The
but
original,
the original bill had a study of campus sexual violence and had money in it for that. We took out those sections, so there's no money left in it. I don't know if you can turn it around quick, but the money's gone because we put the 40,000 in the budget, so.
So maybe the pro tem could actually move to suspend the rules and not have it referred because we've already appropriated the money for the forensic nurse in the budget.
And our amendment takes out the money that would go to the campus sexual violence
Okay.
7-year commission.
Did we have that on any other bill?
no,
No,
Okay.
no, the House passed it with the council.
Oh, the other bill that would relate to though is the pension bill. That has no money in it at this point. So we might try to see if we could suspend the rules and not have either one of those referred because we've already, the money's out, and even though it's in the underlying bill and we've taken care of it in the budget.
183 will be on the notice calendar for Tuesday.
Well, I think probably the same would be true with pensions. That was going to be
Yeah.
voted out today. Okay. If we could see if we could do that, that would save a little time not to have.
Yep.
Alice, did you have a comment?
I just was saying they're working on pensions.
Yeah,
this afternoon.
this afternoon. Okay, so anything else for this committee? Until we have to go back to the floor at 4.
Well,
And Senator Ballin, are we going to have an amendment from
Yes.
Senator Lyons?
Yes, we're going to have amendment from Senator Lyons. It was part of the 240B language that was inadvertently left off. So she's going to do it as an amendment. Do you want to come back here to huddle up?
No,
Okay.
I've already briefed the committee that there was a
Okay.
section that didn't get included that needs to go with it.
Yep.
And we would view it as a friendly amendment. I'll just simply stand up and say, we view it
Great.
as a friendly amendment.
Great. And so I'm having Ginny and Carolyn work to get that ready. And so I'm going to, after we log off, I'm going to go down to the Pro Tem's office and talk to Carolyn and see what status is.
Okay,
We should
all
be ready
right.
at
So if, once we have that amendment, and let's see, where we left, did we vote on did we do our omnibus? We didn't vote on our omnibus package of amendments, did we?
We didn't because I had it. We had the curveball. So unfortunately.
All right, so what we'll do is vote on the package, then Senator Lyons will offer another amendment and we will view it as friendly, and hopefully we'll have the vote and call it a week
Yes.
even.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.